So this goes to what Ben is talking about, Jungian actualization, that one must actualize himself. So your life will be hell if you just live the matrix path set out for you. You have to find your own path and like pursue it. Sure. And work with others. Because I feel like God definitely puts everything in your life for a reason. For sure.
Okay. Here's the thing. What is the source? Not the metaphysical source, but what does goodness come from? The idea of goodness. Like fundamentally. What does it mean to be good?
I mean, I feel
to
like
improve others' lives and to improve your own life by extension.
Okay. What does that mean to you? Common good?
Yeah. The common good is you, though. So if you don't take care of your own shit, you're not gonna contribute to others' lives as effectively as possible, which is...
Yeah, it's almost impossible. If you don't keep your own baseline up, it's very hard to help others.
Yeah, it's
Completely.
like...
It's impossible. Even if you want to help.
Yeah, like you could desperately want to help somebody.
It's like an energy thing.
Yeah, because you just simply don't have control over your own life.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a balancing act. And what I've been thinking about is there's got to be like a set amount of things. It's like meters. I was just talking to you about this. It's like every time you go to the gym, you're fucking like that side of yourself that needs to go to the gym. It gets fed, and it's at the top. But you might have your social meter, which is down here, or your fucking family, like your love meters in the middle. And maybe you've been eating like shit, or maybe you've been fucking eating good, or maybe your house is unorganized, and that adds to this mental clutter, this fog, this uncomfortable feeling. You know, how comfortable are you? How fucking do you have that edge? Do you have that fucking that we've talked about a lot? You know, the edge that every man kind of has to have if you want to succeed. Mm-hmm. So you got to maintain all this stuff. You got to be somewhat comfortable yet somewhat with an edge. It's like there's all these things you have to balance. You know, and we all are men here, so that's all we know, right? We know what these are for us.
Yeah.
So, with all that stuff, right? Like those are all things you have to do to be good, right? So what is like it mean? What is it that drives all of those things? Like what is goodness that it requires an edge and that it requires
survival? I would argue surviving.
So
to push your actual actualization.
Yeah, to
those aren't the same thing.
Those are not the same thing at all. No.
To be... By surviving, I mean just like... First off, you need to survive and you need to take care of your own shit before you can help others, right?
For sure.
Which is the entire point that I was making with the taking care of your own shit is inherently good.
So Landon makes...
I agree with that.
So Landon's... Yeah, that's true. This is just real. It's just something that's true in reality.
Yep.
Landon says goodness comes from the material world, in essence. Like goodness comes from the capacity to improve your life and others' lives. And Gaetano says goodness comes from self-actualization.
Right. So what I mean by the self-actualization is it's a journey.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that at specific ages in your life, your whole life's a journey. So at different points, you have different tasks to accomplish to an extent. Because the idea is that you have to make yourself, to an extent, a very good, capable, complete, not necessarily flawless, but resilient individual. And, you know, as...
I like that distinction between flawless and resilient.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, being resilient is something that's required before you start going on this journey, because the thing, you know, at a certain point, you have to go from I'm building myself as a person to I am the person. You know what I mean? There's a certain point in, like, young men's lives where that's a thing that happens. And, like, I don't know, the Jews have it way fucked up because they're doing that to, like, 12-year-olds. It's retarded. Like, that's not how this works. So it's like...
Don't follow that, but okay.
You know,
I would like to say what you were talking about, the meters, that you need to like balance all the different like ways your brain can use energy in your life in order to like be at peak performance.
Yeah.
This reminds me of an idea tangentially related about freedom in choice of daily actions.
Okay.
The atheist argument against like religion is that it inhibits freedom because there's strict rules.
Right.
But I always argue that actually religious life is more free because you're free from sin.
which
which
is arguably playing with words, but I know what you mean.
so it's like you're allowed to go anywhere you want, but if you're crossing a stream, you have to jump from rock to rock. You can't just jump into the water. Like there's certain choices, even though you have free will, that you have to make, and religion is sort of a like guide to that.
I think
And in
this
that
is-
way, you travel farther and are actually more free than just free choice. Like
I think
Right.
my
atheists, nihilistic free will sort of thing. Whatever.
Yeah, hedonistic
my
as well.
sense of like
Hedonistic.
my metaphor for like the way this kind of thing works is that like I compare reality to this endless expanse in which one aims to build a tower, right?
Okay.
That's like, and that tower is like how to live your life, right? And I say people so people so when we look at something like religion inhibits people's freedom insofar as it's a tower with structures that you can't just
Trade, Ted.
you're not as free as you are on the ground floor, but it also gives you freedom because it allows you to move places you can't move to from the ground. You can move up, and you want to move up.
Say that
But
again.
so religion
It's-
is like a tower, right?
Yep.
It inhibits your freedom insofar as as it's being a tower is something
Yeah.
you can't walk out of. You can't walk any direction you want.
Yes.
But it gives you freedom insofar as it gives you the capacity to walk upwards, which
Yes.
you won't have.
Yes, that's a
if you
good
just
way
have
Good
to
the ground
analogy for
floor.
sure. I love that.
Yeah, that's similar to like the jumping across rocks in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar metaphor.
I like that.
I figured out what I was thinking of earlier. I was fighting so hard to think of this. I'm
What?
really excited. So the whole meters thing, to fulfill them, right? You have to create systems that do that for you, also
your
known as
life?
habits. Yes.
Yes. Good
So
habits.
as a young man, your
Yeah,
job is
habits
basically
charge your meters.
yes, habits for each meter.
Yeah.
So you got to make it fun and you got to make it wholesome and enjoyable. All of those things, because if you are having fun in your life,
Yeah.
you are spreading love, and that's what God wants us to do. So the thing is, basically, how can you make yourself as productive and capable as possible while still being able to spread that joy and positivity, right?
The scary thing
Peak
is there are
performance.
a lot of meters.
I know.
I
So
know.
that's the thing.
There
That's-
are
God-
so many meters that
Religion helps you
all
organize
of them.
which ones to feed.
Yeah, like there are so many meters that all of them cannot be filled.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can.
Something needs to go.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm trying to explain. It doesn't. It's just really hard because our minds are filled with bullshit attacking you for years. You pouring everything, and you've been grown up in a school system that destroys your mind. It causes ADHD. ADHD didn't exist before schools. It's not real. It's caused by schools for sure because they're forcing you to sit in a room. It is pretty proven.
I don't necessarily disagree. We can talk about ADHD because there's tons of
I
things.
don't wanna
We're
go
That's a
into it.
later
I don't wanna
topic.
go
But we
into it.
shouldn't just just don't throw it out there if we're not going
It's
to
an
talk about it.
example
It's
to
a
prove
ben-
my point.
Yeah.
It's an example to prove my point.
It's
That's what
okay to have people that throw stuff out.
Yeah, we can circle back to it later. It's something that we're going to talk. Damn it, I hit that. It's something that we want to talk about on a future podcast.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd bring it up now because we'll watch it in editing and be like, "Yo, next podcast, we'll dive
So
into
let's
it."
think.
I was not done actually.
Yeah.
The systems thing is total. Money is a perfect example of that. Our parents don't understand systems.
Okay.
That's their fatal flaw. They don't have systems to pay for things. They don't have systems to maintain themselves.
Like
they just do
personally,
shit.
our parents. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like personally, this is just an example for you and me, just for you and Ben to like fully understand
Mm-hmm.
this concept. They like the idea is just, oh, I clock in and I get money, and I'll keep clocking in and getting as much money as possible from that. But the idea is, in general, you're never going to be super rich if you just clock in and get money. There's no way to get. There just
There's
doesn't
no way to build up that wealth.
There's no way to build a wealth. It doesn't work. Like
Yeah.
it's designed to get. You don't want to pay your time for money. If you're
Yeah,
paying
you're
your time for money,
trading
you're
time
fucked.
for money.
This is the same thing with like sin. If you don't create systems to protect you that give you joy and fulfillment and fill your meters all at the same time, you have to find
You're
things to
gonna
do that.
sin.
You're gonna sin because when you're exhausted and beat, you still have to be able to do your systems. That's the thing because we
Yeah.
push ourselves as men. You have to push yourself. You have
Yeah,
to get to
there's
the
a
point where
certain
you're beat.
amount of like you can grit your teeth and force you to do stuff, but that wears out.
That wears out, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you need those joyful systems that regenerate you
Yeah.
in your life. That
Because
aren't
This is what
sinful
family
either.
is.
To a certain extent,
family
those
is very
systems-
important for this. I have found that family, dude. When we're at Randy's cabin, everyone's around. There's a certain amount of like good energy that wills this out of you. Family is very important.
Because you need I think the what's very important about family is that it fulfills a second kind of interaction a second kind of interaction, which our society kind of ignores and dismisses. We focus on the individual interacting with broader society, but the individual interacts with broader society in a very different way than they interact with smaller circles. Because with smaller circles, like the family, the individual can really love them. You can't like love everybody. You can have that, maybe that agape. You can have that like that collective love for humanity, but you can't have the philia with everybody. You know what I mean?
I don't know what philia and agape are.
Agape.
Latin words for love. Basically, one is
Greek.
Greek. Sorry.
Yeah.
He explained this to me a while ago. Basically, one means like a broader sense of like, I don't know,
Like hippy dippy love.
like hippy dippy love. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's just spreading that, like almost that godly love
Love of
presence.
Jesus.
And
Yeah,
then there's-
that love.
But then there's philia, which is like the intimate, like brotherly love, you know.
Brother,
Yes.
And
which is
that's
different.
you can only have that with so many people. You can't have that with broader society. You have
Yeah.
that with people that are close.
And that's
to you.
why people, religions and human history, like mankind throughout all history, set up structures to organize family structures because it's so important for cultivating that specific type of love that without you will feel like alienated and like
Alone.
That's the right
Alone.
word for it too.
yeah. And obviously humans aren't supposed to be alien like. I know that's not what the word means, but
It's computerized.
Yeah.
AI like.
yeah.
We're not supposed to be desocialized. What's the word I used? Atomized.
Yeah.
Humans can't. We're too atomized. That's the problem with. That's the broader issue. It seems with like this modern society is we're very atomized because we focus on the individual and broader society and we ignore the middle circles. So what happens? Well, all that you can do, because this is how people work. They need to contribute to things.
Yeah,
They
and you're
need to
working at a job that you don't you don't care about.
All that happens is you leave people with only the option of ensuring their legacy by contributing to broader society. And what inevitably happens is some people don't feel like they can do that. Or they just feel like they're not satisfied in how much they've done that, and they have no recourse. But people need to be able to live by contributing to family and town and
like
community.
Closer community. Totally agree. Yeah, like there is definitely people that are more oriented towards like
Yeah. It's an orientation. People are very oriented towards like
a communal sort of thing. Some people are good at that, like Paulie from the gym. He's good at that. That's why he's the gym dude.
They don't live.
Hypes everyone up at the gym.
They don't live for like some work, which means like essentially a broader societal contribution. They live for
and back when
social interactions.
Back when church was big, they would have been like a church member or something.
Yeah.
But there's no like communal town hall anymore. Our society is very atomized.
Yeah.
That's why people go to college. That's why I went to college, was just to feel a sense of community. But it's a scam because you're going into debt and the degrees are useless.
Indeed.
It's sad.
It's fucked
because
up.
that's there. It's very interesting how the dynamic switched from religion to college.
That's evil, bro.
It
Which
did
is
switch from
totally
religion to
You know what's
college.
the craziest thing? Like there's obviously
funded by the Rockefellers.
Yeah, it's literally
Created by.
It's literally every single student across all of America is in debt.
So much
Tens
money.
of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions. Dude, people can spend millions of dollars on their
Dude,
education.
my buddy just graduated, and I don't want to say it, but like, he's just gonna be making more money at Menards
I know.
Really?
for sure.
It's
a scam.
I've known of people who have gotten master's degrees who, in a great economy, are stuck working at Costco. Like, I have
Dude,
good buddies
it's
of
a
mine who
scam.
have master's degrees.
The education bubble is popping as the media bubble pops. Like,
Yeah.
people are done with media. We don't trust anymore, and education is the same way.
And
I
it's
feel
Education is
shame.
coming soon.
I
It's not
know.
like that
I
yet.
got out
And
of
it's
it just
just
in
a
time.
shame
Yeah.
because education
It's
is an
not. It
important part of
wasn't like
society.
that when we were in high school.
Education is
sucks.
essential
But
in society.
now-
We're
I know.
losing it.
Yeah.
I mean, public education is a ridiculous
Complete
concept.
joke.
It shouldn't exist.
Ooh. Are we sure about that?
I
Because public
disagree.
education came out in the 1500s.
No, public
and it was
education
pretty
should-
cool.
It might have been them.
Public education should exist. It just should not be standardized and nationalized the way it is.
I also think I think high school as a concept is completely useless
Because people should just be going
I
into
actually
like
like high
college
school.
shit then, right?
I think
true.
that they should be more specialized earlier.
Exactly. I totally agree.
I
Yeah.
think it should be like first 2 years, no. Second 2 years, junior, senior year, you should be specializing.
The crazy thing is that's how the school system in the UK does it.
Yeah.
They have
Wow.
high school, they have uni, and then they have college.
Yeah, but then you lose 60% of your money.
Or they have
every
high school,
month,
college, and
so
uni.
You don't want to live there for that reason.
No, the UK sucks. Let's not get that twisted. But the reason they did that was for that exact purpose. You go to a specific or you go to a specific college before uni to prepare you for uni. Right? So you'll go to a specific college with the intention that, okay, like I'm going to this college to get into this university, right? And they have their plans lined out at 16. And the wake-up call happens earlier, and they're like, fuck, I got to get my shit together before I get into the workforce. And they still have time to, like, from 16 to 22. It gives them an extra 2-year gap to basically figure out what the fuck they want to do with their life. And the education isn't super bad in the UK. Like, they get most of that stuff government funded.
And there's so many problems we incur by not specializing our class loads.
Well,
because, like, here's
what-
the thing. You can go if you want. If you want to go, you can
the thing is, there are too many subject matters that make not even an abstract application to anybody's daily life. Name me a subject that you took junior year or senior year in high school that you use.
None.
You know I have.
The only
You
one I would've
asking the
used
wrong
is
one.
CS, computer science.
Computer science, calculus. I'm using calculus. I just
Yeah,
You're a
but you're-
software
yeah.
engineer because
Yeah.
you're a
You're
STEM
also
field.
weird.
No.
But that's the
You're
point.
going into a
Calculus.
STEM field, which is why traditional education is good for you.
Yeah.
You're going into a STEM field.
And that's why you're missing the point, because the point is, if you specialize earlier, then you get the people who can use calculus in calculus.
Which is why the system is built for people like you.
Yeah.
The system was not built for 80% of the population who don't work in
well,
STEM.
what happens then is we have 80% of people who are in calculus don't like calculus. They're not going to use it. They don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
So they can't really learn it, because how could you?
Yeah.
Because
So what happens is we switch our test to, like, we test for memorization because that's all we can test for. It's unfair for us
Yes.
to expect students who aren't going to and don't want to or need to learn to actually learn and be interested in the topic. We can't expect that. We certainly can't expect talent. That would
Yeah,
just
so
be cruel.
Yeah, there
So we
is an issue.
So that's why you need to specialize. Because what happens if you don't specialize is you end up testing for memorization because that's all you can get out of the rest of the students.
School is a big memorization contest
Yeah,
for
I know.
sure.
Indeed.
One thing I think that should be promoted in schools and universities more is creativity. Like, you would think kids would go to university and, like, write symphonies and stuff and create art or, like, books on theories.
Or, like,
None of
study a
that
topic.
happens. Yeah. Like, somehow it is just a giant memorization test of Adderall. It's fucked up.
Chemically similar substance.
The same thing.
it's the same thing. It's like, it's insane.
I've
Very
done both.
similar. They're both
No,
amphetamines.
yeah. But
I
no.
did both today. I will
I
do
need
both
both now.
before I go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm actually on a 3-day bender right now. Meth and Adderall. Because they're the same fucking thing.
They are.
No,
They're both amphetamines.
And opiates are heroin.
Yeah,
Those aren't the same thing.
But the
Opiates are opium.
which isn't. Yeah,
And heroin is actually an opiate.
it is.
That was a really complicated agreement, Ben.
Yeah.
All right.
What time is it?
Oh, come on.
Tiempo para dormir.
23.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I got more.
Yeah.
So the school system sucks, but
It doesn't suck for you,
it doesn't. Well, it does suck for me because it's all memorization, and I hate that.
Yeah.
It sucks.
but it's mostly memorization because you actually get to learn something useful. In your
It's all
school.
memorization.
For
That's all.
me,
Keep going, Ben.
for me personally,
Yeah.
and for Ted, I'm sure as well, and for you too, Gaetano. I didn't take a single class in all of high school, including my 2 marketing classes, that I use anything that I learned from those classes in my career right now. I knew from 7th grade right, that I wanted to be a marketer, a salesman, and an entrepreneur. I knew that from middle school, and I was actively practicing it and getting a better education from my e-com company than I was from the fucking school system.
So it would have been useful if you could have specialized younger.
If there was a school for e-com that was or like a school for entrepreneurship, for business, like a college level system, but for high school, that I was actually learning skills that I could have applied in my career, how to deal with people, communications, it would have been great.
And I'd be better off.
However, what I was forced to do was study Algebra 2 Trig freshman year because I was good at math.
Same.
Yeah, again.
Biology, which I have no fucking use case for. I studied, dude,
Chemistry.
fucking
moles.
dude, English. Okay. It's insanity how I even managed to scrape my way through that shit.
Yeah, one of the biggest.
I literally wasted the most developmental years because when you specialize early and you know what you want to do, those are the most valuable years and the years that you gain the most insight. And I was spending 35 hours a week every week for 9 months of the year, not working on my company, not working on what I wanted to do, but studying some random bullshit that I didn't need to know.
That's even my reality too, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
This is funny. For me, there's a correlation, a negative correlation between my grades and success in school and how interested I am in the topic.
Dude, I know.
The more interested I am in the topic, the worse my grades get, because I have to take my attention away from the stupid memorization shit that we have to do constantly.
Or your attention is diverted from because you're actually
and then
engaged
into actually paying attention to the topic.
I have the exact opposite problem.
No, I'm with Ben. If you're like engaging with the topic, I will just... Dude, I remember in English class like sitting down and writing some dumb essay for 2 weeks, and I never wrote the essay. I wrote 5 of my own essays that I still read to this day and get ideas out of, and in the last like 30 minutes I put together an essay. Like if you're engaged with what you're learning about, you do worse.
Yeah.
Because
They don't let
it's
you
hard to
tangent.
turn off. Learning is supposed to be fun. It's hard to turn it off when it's fun, but you have to memorize and pass the stupid tests, which means it has to be unfun.
Yeah.
They don't allow you to tangentially go off and learn.
Yes, this is
That's
a
still a thing in college for me, by the way. Like
I know.
It's fine.
A fundamental issue with Western education is you're graded on answering questions instead of asking questions, the way the Greeks graded you on, and asking interesting questions that stump the professor, which you can't do because they'll have an ego fit and get mad at you, which happened to me in college all the time. Even though I was just trying to learn, asking interesting questions demonstrates more understanding than memorizing 1,000 like answers on a bubble sheet.
And the most frustrating thing about that is the fact that from your fucking college level degree when you're 22 to when you get a master's degree at 27 and you're technically a doctor, you get your PhD, etc. That is the shift that happens from 22 to 27.
Yeah.
So you would have to go through what? 17 years.
Before you even get
17 years of education before you actually get to feel qualified to ask the questions to the education system.
Dude, yeah, it's a priest class of debtors.
And then the smartest people who have the fucking wherewithal to go through that get these PhDs, right? Mm-hmm. And then
their ability to
their
ask questions is rotten.
Yeah, and their shit is so completely far removed from the basic outline of what the concept should be because they're so indoctrinated into their school of subject and their school of
which
thought.
They had to be for 17
Which
years.
they had to be for 17 years. You can't even blame the people that they're actively getting worse at their job than they would have otherwise had they learned.
They did this on purpose.
Crazy, right? Crazy. And
they indoctrinate you using debt.
Wow, no,
They create workers who have to work.
No,
what does that sound like, boys?
But only,
what does that sound like?
And only teach them the things that they want to know.
No.
Don't teach them to ask questions. Teach them to do work. And then, if they want to, they can spend 18 years. No. Okay, so they'd be in school from 22 to 27. So they can spend 17 years doing nothing, memorizing, and then when they're actually ready to go into their career field, they have 5 years of actual education.
Here's the thing. It's like the whole concept of grades, the way they work, are very dumb.
Okay.
If anyone can see why, it's because if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. 'Cause if you get an F, what happens? You have less chance of getting into university. ' those who take, like, you need to fail to learn. That is a prerequisite to learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it denies students the ability to learn. Students have to
Yeah, that's pretty
operate
crazy.
on a way where they're guaranteed to never mess up, which means they have to
Never learn.
They have to never learn. In order to, or they have to learn but then conceal it and spend a lot more time not learning so that they can get into college, and that's very stressful. These students, in college, until they get their masters, they are fucking.
Why is the education system called the education system and not the training system?
It is a training
It is
system
a
for
training
workers.
system.
Yeah, like,
This is well.
why
known.
is that just not the common doctrine? Why isn't it?
Because the left is a deceiving
The left
ideology.
because it
agrees
grew out
with
of
this
it.
shit. The left wants education reform.
Right, but
It
at
does.
the exact they do well.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. But at the top, they just say education, education.
Yes.
Just like they say health and safety.
It is also
Yes.
kind of true that the
They
left
don't
will just
even
use
pay
intersectionality to avoid
a
the real
smart
critiques.
liberal wants
The left uses
education reform.
intersectionality to avoid systemic critiques, right? So, like, it is also true that if you say we need education reform in the administrative position
You're not. Keep talking.
of the left, right? Like those left administrators, that will get watered down to that. I hate to be this guy, but that will get watered down to, like, we need more equity in education, right? It will get changed from systemic reform
Yeah.
to equitability reform.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ben.
This is how it does. This is everywhere. Every time the left looks at an issue, they will. Lately, this is a lately problem since like 2016.
Progressive.
They will just. They will
Water it down.
They will disregard systemic reform.
Yeah.
They're looking at classes, right? Let's talk about class issues. Let's talk about economic issues. We need more equitability, right? We need to.
It's because they're literally commies.
They've destroyed the topic of sociology.
That's true, right,
Sociology no
that
longer
is-
exists.
That is a Marxist. It is a Marxist thing to do to ignore the way systems work.
The fundamental, like, core
Yeah,
reality of systems.
to disregard structural functional analysis and instead move to that social conflict lens right away is kind of a problem with modern leftism.
That's what point I'm trying to say. Sociology is that.
Yeah, that's sociology. Yeah.
And they turn sociology, the class, into literally...
It's both.
It's
Both are considered
indoctrination.
sociology.
I know.
Sociology class is actually just full indoctrination hour.
I know.
And they've banned the topic. The topic is now just indoctrination. You can't actually talk about sociology, the communications of people. That's a super important topic.
Sociology was a very I took sociology. I took 2 sociology classes, and both times it was very receptive. They would just say it was definitely a class where the teacher would just go to the front of the room and be like, here's my PowerPoint of facts about America that you didn't understand because you weren't aware of your social circumstance.
Your
They're like,
whiteness.
yes.
well, yeah, well,
Yes.
they wouldn't talk about that. They just say
they
like,
did.
Yeah.
they just say
They
like,
did.
a fish, ocean, whatever, something about a fish in the ocean. I don't know,
I
but
know,
like,
yeah.
but like then they'd be like, okay, so now what you need to understand is everything you thought when you were 9 is not true. It's like, come on, I'm not that goddamn stupid, and if you let me talk, you'd understand that.
We could crack a beer.
Yeah, we can.
I'm feeling a
We can
beer.
pour the wine too, but like,
I'm feeling a beer.
I'm feeling a beer.
If you would
You want
acquire
to go
beers,
snag a
that'd be
couple
great.
beers? Do you want a beer?
yeah, don't knock over the camera though.
Do not knock the camera over.
Hey, and everyone, let's check our mics.
Advantage
real
of the
quick.
clip mics.
Just
We can
fuck
snag
yeah.
a beer.
Everyone, let us just look at our mics real quick. We're
We'll
gonna
be
make
drunk
sure.
buzzing, hell yeah.
We're gonna make sure our thing is in
We're
the thing.
booling, boys, nice and in the thing.
Okay.
Is this good?
Yeah, just make sure the thing's nice and tight in the...
Just make sure that just press it in there. Make sure it's nice and in the jack. The cord's in the jack.
Dude, yeah.
We can carry this.
No,
camera
no, no.
forward.
Just leave it. Just leave it. Just leave it. Ew, dude. Oh,
Some
Miller's
yummy
Miller Lite.
yuck.
They need to get drank.
They need to get drinking.
Get drunk.
they
I don't know.
expired?
Weren't you paying attention in training?
They it is
Fuck training.
1:33. Do you want to drink this beer or do you want to go to bed?
I'm gonna drink the beer and then go to bed.
Okay.
That is
Great
I.
idea.
Yeah,
I
this
those
is
are
perfect.
mutually
I
exclusive.
solved it. I
Yeah.
solved it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Those are not
Thank
mutually
you.
exclusive.
Thank
I
you.
gotta check.
This was the plan all along. This was
You gotta
destiny.
go to bed by 2, though.
I do have to go. Yeah. Okay.
Ben's got half
Does he have to
an hour.
work?
No, he has to go
has
to
a
the
9
phone
a.m.
thing at 9.
Phone thing?
I gotta get my phone repaired.
Oh,
Sucks.
Shout out to Ben
that's
for
gay.
making money to fix it.
good job, Manito.
Are you cool with the Benito? Because I fuck with it. Your
I'm
name
fine
on
with
stamp
it.
is still
I'm fine
Benito.
with it because it's a real thing. When Steve started calling me Benito, it's because it's a real Italian
yeah,
name.
bro.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Why are you shitting on Miller, dude? Come on.
Yeah, it tastes good. What am I
Yeah.
talking about? It tastes good
Dude,
as fuck.
this is
Was
this
it
is
Dice? Dice?
Yeah, it's
this is
decent.
beer. This is awesome.
I don't know. I was like in a Truly mood for a while. Aiden got me in it. It's kind of gay.
This ain't that bad, actually.
No,
Right?
dude.
Yeah, it tastes good. When they're
Like,
cold, I guess. When
I
they're
should have
warm,
been doing the
oh.
Miller Lite to begin with. That I did not need another Baja Blast.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the Baja Blast and I go, I'm not 14.
Well, what I wanted,
I'm gonna have to whip
Hey,
a
the
Miller.
Bajas are pretty decent.
it's
Dude,
just
they're
like-
decent, yeah, for sure.
But they're just worse than a beer.
Nah, they taste way
I
better.
wish I had the sparkling water. Honestly, that's what I wanted.
Oh, okay, Mr. Andrew. Like,
No,
shut
no.
up.
No, Liquid Death. Liquid Death is insane.
Oh, Liquid Death is gassy.
Yeah, Liquid Death is insane.
Is that sparkling water?
Yeah,
It's good.
flavored sparkling water.
Is
and
it
it's,
good?
It's awesome, and it has the brand name Liquid Death, and it's so cold.
It's such a good joke.
Yeah, because it's like
Liquid
Water.
Death flavored sparkling water.
yeah. You
is
look at
hilarious.
that, and you think, oh, energy drink. That's like the most over the top energy drink that I've ever seen. Like it's kind of cool, but it's not for me. And then you look at the bottom, and it's like sparkling water. You're like sick.
All right, let's think.
All right, little plug there.
Shameless Liquid
God
Death
is
plug.
great. Beer is good, and people are crazy. Cheers to that.
Shit kickers, gang.
Some yummy slides.
You guys don't listen to any country at all, do you?
No.
Not
I know
any
unabashed.
reason.
you have to
Unabashedly.
listen to a little country to be happy.
It's the truth. Like there's
It
nothing
makes-
better.
It is the best modern music. It makes you happy.
Like it's all
It
about
works, it works.
it's all about telling stories and making life
Bushlight,
simple.
nicotine, campfire, 16.
Yeah, like these are the good times.
Yeah.
These are the good times that everybody who listens to country music has, and it's all about glorifying those times. Because the great part about country music right now is we're still in them. We're still making those memories. We're still young,
Whiskey.
and listening to that music right now helps us
Whiskey,
live our
come on.
lives better
No.
than if
He's
we were
right.
older.
He's spitting facts, actually.
Yeah, we are making
By
memories.
far the best modern
Oh,
music.
hey, Ben, what's it called? Dionysian and what?
Oh yeah, Dionysianism and Apollonianism.
So which one's which?
Dionysian. The Dionysian is the barbaric. So Dionysian and Apollonianism, or it refers to the dichotomy between barbaric natural existence
Yes.
and socially constructed existence.
Mm-hmm.
Dionysianism is the former, Apollonianism is the latter.
Yes.
And this is
Do you remember that
yeah.
song, Two Beers, I showed you, that emo song?
Yeah.
Dude, the emos actually did a good job of illustrating Dionysium and Apollonianism.
Did they?
Really good. I'll have to show you that song again. It's super interesting. Because the singer, like, it's really a gay emo song, but it's a vibe. The singer, like, uses two voices, and one is, like, a girly Apollonian guy voice,
Oh.
and the other one is, like, Screamo Dionysium. It's really interesting, because you would imagine in the 90s that was the start of the fracture in society where people are confused about the middle ground of Dionysianism and Apollonianism, and that's when this emo music was created that sort of illustrated that.
My Chemical
Because-
Romance does that a lot.
I imagine, because art imitates
I've
life.
heard a little bit of them. Just a little bit.
They do.
Gen X was aware
There-
of this,
there
right?
was- there was a-
Because Fight Club is all about that, and it's
Yeah.
a Gen X movie.
Yes, that is what Fight Club is, huh?
Fight Club's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie, just about ever.
Yeah.
I thought the third act was a little weak. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so it's not a great movie from a cinematic point of view, but the message it tries to get across
Sick as hell.
is
It's a good movie.
It's the best message a movie has had since its creation.
Well, The Matrix.
Well, we
so
can say the
that's-
narrative is good. Like, so we can say
Ready
it's a
Player
good
One
movie.
is also kind of up there in that same ballpark. Like
I haven't
it's-
seen it.
I haven't
so
seen it
It's
either.
too close to reality, bro.
So-
And me working with AI for a fucking living, and like,
Is it scary?
dude, Ready Player One is all about people who live in a simulation, right?
Do we have to
And
give a
their
spoiler?
entire lives are controlled by AI, and they're all in their
Epic.
they're all in their element, right? And they're all living in their own tiny little world. And in theory, that is Facebook or Meta's like business statement for what they're trying to do.
It is because Mark Zuckerberg truly does not understand human interactions.
I know.
Fully autistic guy in charge of the world.
Yeah,
Because,
that might
like,
be the
Mark
No,
Zuckerberg-
considering Mark Zuckerberg's low-key paying my bills right now, I can't shit on him directly. To be fair, he is getting into MMA.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
He
but
also
I do
appeared in a
respect
Joe
that.
Rogan
Like, how
podcast.
crazy is that?
Yeah, Rogan was so soft on him. He babied him the whole time.
I think, well,
Zuckerberg literally lied about hiding Facebook posts during the election to Rogan, and Rogan didn't say anything. Zuckerberg is not a trustworthy person. He lied flat out on Rogan.
Well, I believe that Zuckerberg appeared there. Zuckerberg appeared there with the aim of like specifically imitating Elon Musk's success at appealing to Gen Zers. You know, I think that's what he was doing. I think Elon Musk might have done that specifically to appeal to Gen Zers too. But definitely,
Elon Musk does it because he's a crazy bastard who wants to be as famous as possible. Because it furthers his mission statement of getting people to Mars.
Elon actually went on Rogan to align himself with Rogan as a beachhead against the Illuminati. That's
Joe
actually
Rogan
why.
kinda
I find that the least likely. I'm gonna
That's
be
why
honest.
he
Joe
went on
Rogan
Rogan.
did, obviously, but so did Elon. Elon kind of left that shit.
But what's very definitely true is that Mark Zuckerberg was very clearly just trying to imitate, like, 'cause he like imitated all of Elon's talking points.
Yeah,
So he was
Zuckerberg's
just-
fully autistic. He just tries to sound like a human.
Here's the
24/7.
thing: how can you not understand that all the basis of every social interaction that exists is food and sex? You cannot imitate those things in the metaverse. So all social interactions that happen in the metaverse are useless.
No, completely wrong.
All right.
Using a-
Mark Zuckerberg thinks you can imitate sex in the metaverse.
Yes. No, okay, like, besides the point. Their entire... So, with their current products, no. Right?
Yeah.
But with what
But
they're
in the
trying...
future, they're gonna be able to hack your brain into.
They're going to be able to install a little fucking chip in your ear or whatever that senses and goes into your central nervous system and is able to do whatever the fuck it
And
wants.
that's when I start blowing up electricity power plants.
I'm with you. We're going full Fight Club when this happens.
Yeah.
No, like,
This part is not going on YouTube, so fucking.
Okay,
I
if this
am
part ain't go...
joking.
Ted Kaczynski was right.
He was.
weirdly right.
Isn't it crazy? Okay, just so everyone knows, we are going to win because AI is evil and it might kill the world, but God already told the Amish to fight it. And they have been, and they will, and now we will too. It's crazy that God already sent a message to the Amish people to start a collective that is anti-technology and creates like food and sustenance without being reliant on technology that is basically slowly becoming possessed by AI, which is essentially Satan.
You know, they're cool. I think
It's
that's
a
pretty cool.
demon
It's not
god
that
that's
weird. It's
Satan.
not weird that they exist, but it's cool that they exist.
Yeah, it is. Like God already
It's not weird. It's
gave
already,
us a little.
people always do that. There's always one
against-
group that does that.
Yeah, it's not, like,
Against
it's not like
technology.
just an Amish thing. It's been a thing forever.
Not even to mention
Let's
the
think.
Wahhabists.
Okay, all right.
Ugh.
I would like to talk about, which we are a little chopped right now.
Well, sir.
I really,
Well, let's. I have the solution to that problem.
I really like G-Man's thing that, deep sea creature, deep sea
Well,
creature.
that's a lot of good.
Hello. Deep sea creatures are the abominations left over from before the flood. That is a really.
That's a wild left turn you just took.
I know. I just want to say it. It is cool as shit to think about.
I mean,
I've been trying to piece
so
together.
let me.
Lando.
It was my point. I've been trying to piece together a real history of the world.
Oh.
With where the events have taken place, where everything's going on. Ben, I know. I'm going to talk to you
You
about
just
this
said
soon.
real. You just can't say real.
Hold on. Just let him finish.
Ben, this is what I want to talk to you about soon in like a serious manner. I just got to get my thoughts together before I start talking to you. But yeah, I've just been like trying to understand all the different religions and what they were thinking about and all the different people and the similarities and as much as possible and trying to collect all this information, right? There's a project coming soon about this for sure. But we've been talking about this shit for years and it kind of seems like the flood is proven, right? That's been proven to happen. Mr. History Buff.
Okay, wait.
I've got no real proof. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've never heard
There's
of any.
for sure
concept.
floodlines on the pyramids.
All right. I don't
Well,
know.
I
They've
always
proven
thought of
that.
the flood as just a reset. I would imagine I'm more like with who's the guy that's always on
Young.
Rogan?
It doesn't
I'm
matter.
also
it's
more. Okay, this
Who's
is
the guy who's always
Earthquakes,
on Rogan?
typhoons.
Who is the guy
There was
who's
a-
always on Rogan? Graham Hancock. I'm more with my dad is huge on Graham Hancock as well. I'm convinced he's right. Rogan and my dad both agreeing.
Yeah.
Fact. That's a fact. Chris Connell. I'm with Graham Hancock
Chris
that
Connell
there's
for assembly.
that there is some sort of like reset on Earth every whatever 1,000 years he says, and I just think it's God creating a flood, and I think flood is just a memory for or a metaphor for like a reset.
You might be right, but there actually is evidence that there was a
It
giant
could have
flood.
just been a flood, yeah.
There was actual evidence that there was a giant flood. There's the only reason I say that.
Oh, dude, the imagery of a drowned city is the coolest thing ever. It's like so freaky.
That'll be Venice in 5 years.
Well, I guess yeah, technically.
But seriously, that,
We gotta go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I know.
it's not going to be 5 years, but we
we're
do
gonna
gotta
go
go.
in a year. We're gonna go on a year.
In a year.
Major parts of the city were closed down because of COVID.
Yeah, I know. But that's
No.
not related to the flood.
A real
No.
disease affecting everyone 85 and up.
It was.
And the flu
It was
doesn't
because
exist.
of the flooding. They shut it down because they ran out of money to support like a couple of sections of the city.
Oh, okay.
So
Sounds
there
like
are
Italy.
sections that are already.
Well,
We got the wine and the cheese and not the working.
That's no surprise. That's a
Siesta
tourism
4 times a
economy.
day. Like, what do you think this
Mamma
is?
mia!
It really sucks that places are just tourism
Siesta.
economies now. By the way, like back in the day, you used to go to Venice if you just really cared about Venice, and Venice was its own city, which did its own
Yeah.
shit. But now it's just a
gift shop
tourism
central.
place. You know, it
There's
sucks.
a gift shop in the
I know.
tomb of Jesus,
In-
or
in-
the cave that Jesus supposedly resurrected from.
Correct.
That's dude. Capitalism is
Evil.
it is.
I'm
evil.
sorry, all Republicans. Fuck
It
you
is
guys for
evil.
not understanding that.
It is. Yeah. Well,
It
the
is
belief
evil.
Yes,
landed.
it's
landed
pride. Pride is the
fumes
worst
next to
sin, and it's
China.
Okay, like
Landed in
pride is
fuming
the
there.
worst sin.
You have a clip mic, genius.
Pride is the worst sin.
All right, question. Actually, Landon, before we go to bed,
Yep.
if a magical being came down through this ceiling, and granted you, he said this portal opens up.
okay, it's there.
You get to walk into this portal, and you get to travel to any time in known history. Where do you go?
Okay, so are you? I
The
think-
Aikidos,
yeah,
a portal into the wall.
I would be right here, right now.
Really?
Yeah, I can happily say that.
I've got an answer.
I can happily say
Why
that.
do you
I
say
would,
that?
Okay, well, there's two answers to that. One is like the funny but also kind of true answer, but one is like the more serious one.
Okay.
The funny but not so true, or like also true answer, is that I wouldn't know anybody in the 1970s, so I'd just be walking around and I'd be like, "There's the Berlin Wall, cool, it's still there."
Yeah.
And then I'd come back here and like go see friends or whatever.
Good point.
But the more serious answer is, I think that I was meant to be born at the time that I was.
Because it's God's plan.
Yes, because it's destiny.
That is a good point.
So if I were to change,
Let's say you just get to go for 5 years, but you come back and nothing's changed.
yeah, okay, good
Yeah.
revision. God damn, that is a good question.
Actually,
isn't
it's
it?
a line of ketamine. And you take this giant line of ketamine.
Yeah, and boom, I'm there,
Yeah.
and I just live 5 full years
Yes.
In
this
like
place.
this night.
Anywhere. You can go anywhere.
And
Yeah.
you wake
Where
up
do you
tomorrow
go?
morning. You're waking up tomorrow morning. You're chilling.
Anywhere at any time, I would
That is what we
go.
love to see. Just my phone.
Ooh, oh wow. I would go to. Okay, well, this is such a hard question.
No pressure.
Yeah. World War II.
What's up, Hitty?
No, like high key.
Yo,
I would
Adolf.
go.
You want some cartoon villains to fight?
Yeah, I would. Okay, Name an American bad guy that we got to kick that we got to kick their ass. I would go to when we were winning. I would go
You just
to
want a dome shot hitty?
yeah. I would go
You want to
to
hit hitty with the 360?
yeah. I would be
360
on
drop-off in
the
Berlin.
Yeah.
I would be if I knew I was going to survive. I'd be on the front lines of D-Day. Dead ass.
If you knew you were going to survive?
If I knew I was going to survive, and if I knew I had 5 years, and I could come back to this point at any point in time, front lines of D-Day. I think
Damn.
the pride.
You're not going to go insane.
Yeah.
No,
but you come back,
PTSD.
it's just line of ketamine.
Yeah, like it's a memory
Yeah,
at that
okay.
point. There's no trauma associated with it.
Yeah.
Lines of D-Day, dude. You get to serve your country. The overwhelming
You did
feeling
dome
of
shot a couple japs.
yeah. You get to rush and
lot of
break the
jabs at
storm
D-Day.
of this unstoppable Nazi machine that is pure evil.
Wasn't
That is-
D-Day the japs?
No.
No, D-Day was
We stormed
the
the
German
beach.
attack. And funny story about D-Day, there was this German spy who Hitler really trusted, or this American spy or British spy or somebody who Hitler really trusted, right?
Allied forces.
Yeah, he showed up in like Germany or whatever, and he was just this random poor like guy our age. And 6 months later, he has direct lines of communication with Hitler in Nazi Germany, right? Like, just somehow he just randomly lucked into meeting Adolf Hitler, and now he's like their main intelligence spy. And he goes to the Allied powers, and he's like, "Hey guys, I kind of hate Nazi Germany. Why don't you use me as a spy?" And they were like, "Okay, like do this, do this, do this, do this, do
Okay,
this."
bet.
Yeah. So anyway, the spy tells Hitler that there's going to be a massive Allied invasion
Yeah.
across the country
In Britain.
into
Wait, he rats
yeah,
on us?
a massive Allied invasion on the day of D-Day
Yeah.
on the south side of the country.
Oh, shit.
And D-Day
on
is
the
on the
north?
north side of the country.
Damn.
And so
Yo, what's his name?
I have no fucking
This
idea.
dude's a G, huh?
This, yeah, dude, it's a Wendigoon, the very popular YouTuber, made a video on it. It's fucking awesome. And so, like,
We should
75% of the
we
German
worship
military-
dipshits like Justin fucking Bieber. This dude's a badass.
Yeah,
People should be worshiping
so
people
insane,
like him.
right? This dude's like mid-20s or whatever, and he's
Savage.
like 17 million German soldiers went from the top of Germany to the bottom of Germany,
And then we
anticipating
said,
this giant invasion.
"What up?"
And Hitler was like, "Oh shit, I'm kind of allocating a lot of forces just on the board of one man. Like I trust this dude a lot, but like he could I don't fucking
if
know."
By the by, isn't it fucking crazy that it got to a point where the entire continent of Europe was blocked off to us and we were trying to charge in like just a couple of years? The Nazis' culture, like military energy, was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
There was a point where just all of Europe was just Nazi Germany, and we were just trying to break through the continent.
That is
That's
pretty real,
fucking
yeah.
crazy.
It was insane.
Genghis
I've studied a
Khan-
lot
it's
about
sorta
World
like
War II.
Genghis Khan.
We used to talk more about
Isn't it
history.
like-
I love it. I
Isn't it
really
like
study
Genghis
a lot.
Khan, bud? A little bit.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
energy.
same kind of like
Blitzkrieg
odd cultural,
energy.
yeah, that odd fucking like when you
Dude,
just get that military.
Blitzkrieg energy. That's a great phrase.
Yeah, no, okay, say what you will about the Germans, but they had some bad-ass marketing.
The thing is, the
Like,
Prussians were
holy
always,
shit, Blitzkrieg is the most...
propagandy, but yeah.
Prussian culture always had effective military capacity.
Mm-hmm.
It was so duty based. Everything in Prussia was duty based. And then you just combine that with the Nazis' crazy fucking ideology, that coke line ideology, that just, you know, and then
Hitler's tweaking, bro.
yeah. It was fucking nuts. But like, there are so many. That's such a crazy thing in history, and there's so many places I'd want to see in history. Like,
What percentage your phone at?
Full. I was charging.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. So, do you know what? There's these places in history which just have like cultural energy, and I'm so fascinated by these places. For one thing, like the Holy Roman Empire, during the time of the Lombard League.
Oh, that would be cool too, going into ancient Rome.
Yes.
No, that's
Ancient
not
Rome
ancient
would-
Rome. The Holy
I
Roman
know,
Empire is medieval Rome.
I know, but,
also that.
The bringing up the Holy Roman Empire made me holy
Yeah.
shit, Plato is a human being.
Ooh, dude, yeah.
Like having you could have a conversation in that 5-year gap with both Plato and an early Socrates.
And Aristotle.
And
If
Aristotle.
you spend 50 years
Pull
in
up to
Athens,
Plato's crib
you
with a
see
fucking...
everything.
Yeah.
Everything happens in 50 years in
How
Athens.
insane is that? Everybody talks about the Renaissance. Everybody talks
both.
about the Renaissance.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about that insane,
The Athenian miracle.
yeah. Nobody talks about that.
50
And like
years.
the greatest philosophy of all time, nobody, in my personal opinion, has done any better in the realm of philosophy than Stoicism.
Oh, that
And-
came later, though.
I thought I thought Plato was a big Stoic.
Platonism
Epictetus
is
was.
kind of... Platonism influenced Stoicism later. So
Yeah.
The ideas were there, it just was perfected.
Well,
Yeah.
Epictetus was Greek.
yeah, but that was later. That was
later?
under Roman Greece.
Still,
I've
it's...
sworn the foundations of Stoicism were laid in ancient
No,
Rome.
Greek
I
was...
mean,
The Greeks...
Stoicism
Yeah.
works off of Platonism.
Yeah.
You know.
The Greeks were
Right,
like...
it's 2 for both of you
They
guys.
started the chain reaction of everything after. Okay, so that speaks to the broader idea of like, there's an issue where we view in modern society like things in the past as old and have been approved upon, so everything in the present is better. When actually it's more like they are fundamentally true and everything grows out of them.
Yes.
Also,
You have to trim the weeds.
Yes.
Yes.
you were
And you
talking
have to
about-
trim the weeds.
But like the most fundamentally true thing in all of society is the Bible, because it was literally the first book, and everything on all of Earth, because Earth is dominated by the
Jesus
West,
studied the Vedas.
was built by the West, was built off, like grew out of the scriptures of the Bible, and like the
Okay,
Sea Scrolls
Bible,
and all
Old
that.
Testament, because
Yeah,
there
yeah,
are
Old
three. Well, that's the what the Jewish equivalent of the Bible. I
Yes,
forget what
everything
that is.
did grow off of that. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Everything else, like,
Well,
you can say
everything
what
in
you
the
want
West
about
comes from
Muhammad.
Judeo-Christian values have built the entire modern world.
Basically, the
Asia
West-
would have collapsed
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
had
That's why I think it
Judeo-Christian
was-
values not been instilled in those centuries.
Right. Yes. The West has 3 cultural sources, though. There's Judeo-Christian, which comes out of Israel, right?
Yeah.
Then there's also Greco-Roman, which comes out of
Okay,
Athens.
true.
And then there's thirdly Indo-European general culture, which comes from Central Europe around the beginning of the classical era. And those 3 things generally seem to contribute the most to Western culture broadly.
But all those
But the
things
thing
are
is,
part of
Western
the
culture is now
patriarchy and
American
useless.
culture.
American culture is a variant of Western culture.
But it is such
The
like
dominant.
no,
It's
it is
dominant, yeah, it's the dominant.
by far since
But Rome was
since the
dominant, and it was a
50s,
very
it has been
Greek.
by far the most dominant
Yes,
cultural
yes,
power.
Yes, very influenced, yes.
Yeah, like there's nothing that can compete with it. I would argue
Yeah.
that America's value system and how it should be has improved dramatically on all 3 of those.
Well,
At a
America
time,
has
yes.
its own thing going on. So, like, the relationship between America and the West broadly is basically the same as the relationship between Rome and the Hellenistic world.
Yeah.
It's very parallel. Like, Rome was like this offshoot Greek state
You gotta go to bed.
I know.
that viewed itself as comparatively more rural and more energetic and more more grounded. America is the same thing to Europe. We're an offshoot European culture that views ourselves as sort of better than Europeans because we're more grounded. We're more hardworking. It's the exact same thing. So we're like a variant of European, and then both, just like Rome, we become the dominant culture of the West.
Yeah, I would argue that. So,
Should I put the hat on?
yeah,
Although what's
I
true
would
about Rome is Rome's cultural.
it looks good.
Yeah.
You know what? Rome's cultural output never quite matched the cultural output of Greece. Greece always had higher cultural output. Roman statesmanship was better, but Greeks always had higher cultural output. In the same way, it seems like in this era, Europe's responsible for more cultural output, but America has had a more successful state and economy.
By and large, yes,
And
but in the
military.
past 70 years, no.
Not at all.
Think past 7 years are kind of weird because
The
like
Abba, and that's
Yeah,
it.
but the past 70 years is still 70 years.
of what though? Because like think about it.
Because it's not
Our
slowing down
cultural
anytime
production-
soon.
Our cultural production of the last 7 years has been kind of weird because we're doing this weird thing. Like you just touched on this earlier. We're like we don't like talk about heroes from D-Day anymore. We don't think it's cool. We don't really think it's cool to like idolize people from D-Day or idolize people from old history,
I
right?
disagree with that entirely.
No,
we still
no.
idolize figures like Lincoln
No,
and
we
Washington.
don't. We do
There's
not
a
enough.
couple,
Ben's
but-
right. Ben is right here.
There's a
Obviously,
couple.
that stuff is going to happen because it's not recent, and none of us were alive to see a lot of the people from D-Day.
Here's the thing.
So
I'm
there
gonna
has
argue
been no
that-
heroes.
I'm going to argue that in the post-war era,
recently.
we decided that
RFK is
like historical figures were inherently elitist, and in order to be sort of like a man of the people, you just had to like kind of idolize more popular figures. This starts with like Bob Dylan or whatever.
Celebrities.
Bob Dylan, yes, they're celebrities but they're popular celebrities. So like you have Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is not as cool as the guy who made D-Day happen, objectively, but it's cooler to idolize Bob Dylan than it is to idolize the guy who made D-Day happen in most circles. Now we do have the reactionary circle that's just kind of came out of
All right,
thin air.
Ben's right. Landon's got to go to bed first. Go to bed.
So does Ben. He has
I don't
to get
think
up
this
at 9.
conversation is quite over yet.
It's not.
Well, you got to go to bed.
So does
Do
he.
I?
He really does.
Do you?
More than
That's
you.
your
You have to get up at 9.
Ben needs to go to bed
Ben
more
needs
than
to go to
I
bed
do.
immediately.
I don't have an awake time. I don't have anything to do tomorrow until noon.
I'm here for
I
this
just set that as an
podcast.
arbitrary deadline.
Dude, no, you need sleep.
Not
Shush.
necessarily. All right. Do you have more to say?
I don't know. I just think it's a very interesting parallel that
I think America's cultural, like popular cultural production is not complete. I don't think our cultural production is very strong because it's remained in this popular sphere that rejects the notion of higher culture, which it does.
I don't know, man. Our
it
influence
does.
has grown in the past few years. You know what I mean? Like
It's like-
as the economy shifted to an influence economy.
Yep. I've
Right.
talked about that.
Yeah, and I have as well, right?
Yeah.
It really has changed to where like young American kids influence
Can be
the
an
world
influencer.
more than anything.
Yeah.
That's that
Americans
they
are
influence.
badass.
I think that's objectively better than the elitist point
Yes.
of view.
Well,
Yes.
here's the thing, though.
Because you're judging it based off of pure influence rather than judging it based off of quality of character, which it has its drawbacks.
I'm gonna argue quality and character is more important, but okay.
It has its drawbacks,
Too easy to lie
But-
about quality of character. This is a result.
I understand that, but
but
you can.
quality of character, while correlated with objective impact, doesn't necessarily agree. Therefore, our cultural impact has become more impactful because we idolize figures who support our views and help us think in better ways.
Quality is a nebulous
said,
idea.
well said.
In theory, quality might be considered to theoretically correlate with objective impact, if there is such a thing, the best. What's true is that influence does not necessarily, okay, I guess it does if you define objective impact. Maybe I should say good impact, right? Positive impact.
Why does it
influence-
have to be positive? We're talking about the influence that America has, the cultural influence. Do you think
Because
all of Maoist
you-
China had?
Because this is what you reject when you support influence-based systems of analysis and reject what you call elitist systems of analysis. You reject the capacity. Like the elitist proposes that there is good influence and bad influence. So if you want to reject that, then you also have to accept that you're turning away this idea of good influence.
At a societal level, I would argue that's what America did, and it's why America's at the top.
America's at the top, but like here's
Barely.
how are we going to keep
In
going?
societal influence,
How are we
dude,
gonna
we're
keep going?
miles
Because
ahead
in
of
general-
everyone.
We're talking about culture. This is the problem with popular cultural production. Like when we look at European cultural production, it's not just the art. It's the art, then it's the values, and it's the social.
Okay, so what the
systems
populace
that
has to
emerge.
do is like create good systems, like the collegiate systems should be doing and churches should be doing, that like guide it.
Well, yeah.
Yes,
We
which
need
is
the
why,
answer.
and which is why if those systems break down, it's such a problem for American society.
Yeah.
And they are, but when
The
they were
populace-
strong and those guidelines were set in place,
There's
you
no
don't
populace.
need those elitist point of views. You can assume that if it's coming from America, it's coming from a good place because it's coming from those religious and family value backgrounds.
You need the elitist point of views because you need,
need-
these institutions that guide the production of art or culture or whatever cultural output. Those institutions need values of they act deterministically. They change the values, so they have to have their own idea of what values are better than other values.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that.
That's elitist. Those institutions have to be elitist.
Yeah, the institutions can be elitist, but the society as a whole can still go out of the bounds of those elitist point of views and make shit that actually
A
works.
society, well, yeah, but a
I'm
society
I'm personally very for the populist
yeah, but we're just using the term
influence
elitism.
sort of thing.
Here's
Anyways,
the thing: a society that doesn't believe in objectively good culture and bad culture, a society that doesn't have an elitist take on culture, can't produce institutions that have elitist takes on culture.
You need them.
You need them.
However, those institutions run dry.
weirdly, the populist revolt is sort of creating an elitist view on morals because the current academic state is this weird nihilistic leftist thing that there is no morals. So actually, the populist revolution might be the thing to guide a good ethos of morals in society and prop up institutions that...
I don't think so. Like, yes, that's true, but it has to be very carefully guided because its current trajectory is this: it exists in opposition to the current state of affairs. Once the current state of affairs is gone, it will have no strength, right?
We're trying to balance the strengths out.
But right now, the trajectory of the populist revolution is its moral virtue that it claims, and it kind of has, exists purely in opposition to the lack of belief in morals among the current elite.
We're talking,
once the current elite is gone,
they're
it
capitalistic
won't know where to
gods.
go.
Okay,
Their God is capitalism.
if we're talking
That's
about
conservative values.
if we're talking about
to an
America
extent.
specifically,
Yeah.
we don't need any more elitism because we have Europe. Okay?
That's an interesting point.
We have
Greece and Rome.
we have Europe.
We figured out the West
Rome
has to have two
Hellenized
figureheads.
in
Yes,
second
the
century,
West
Rome
needs a
Hellenized in the
populist
second
figurehead,
century.
which
Yeah,
has
and an
always
elitist
been
one.
America,
And they
an
sort of
elitist figurehead, which has always been
Dance
Europe.
together and
And the
influence
powers
world
switch.
perfectly.
The powers switch around,
Yes,
and that's
they
why
dance together.
that's why the Western powers always beat out the Eastern.
So
No,
we have to
damn
say
America.
we know the plan.
We will.
We have to save Europe, prop up the big European churches and universities, and have an academic ethos like Greece.
Yes.
And then we're the Roman side in America, and then we go to Mars
that's
with
not
Elon.
right.
Yes.
Rome
All right,
had to
gang.
Hellenize to survive.
Huh?
Rome had to Hellenize to survive. No. For America to survive and thrive, think about it. Where did Rome go after Rome fell? It became Italy, and Italy was a huge cultural place. Elitist as hell, in its own way. Just in this sort of way that we're talking about.
But
All right,
but
I would like to
I'm not finished.
Let Ben finish, then we're gonna move on.
For America to continue, it needs to move from being just this big kind of like culturally thin, laid out place, this populist place. It needs to move into a place that has its own complex cultures, its own complex culture to pair with Europe.
All right, I will now ask Ben. A genie now appears. A three-eyed, 18-armed genie now
that's a lot of
aikidos
eyes.
through this wall.
Biblically accurate genie.
Ben, what's your favorite color?
Green.
In a green portal, and he
Is with Rick Sanchez.
makes an aikido move. He makes an aikido move, Ben. He makes an
course.
aikido move
And you go to what part in history?
to the right, and a portal, which is the mouth of a dragon, opens up.
Yeah.
And in the center of the portal is Mercury dancing around. And the genie, with 3 eyes and 18 arms, asks you, what point in history do you want to go to? Benjamin Sawyer Connell.
All right. So, here's the thing. There's these parts in history that I have to see because they have cultural energy that I don't understand. One of these places is the Holy Roman Empire around the time of the Lombard League.
What's
In
the
the Middle
Lombard
Ages, the Lombard League was a union of North Italian states against the German Emperor because in this period in the Holy Roman Empire, politics was dominated by like a bipolar system inside the empire between the Pope at the southern edge of the empire and the emperor in Germany.
So I can't hit that. Bad luck.
Basically, the Holy Roman Empire was this confederation of small
gonna need
states
that.
that were
Get him in a
influenced by
second.
the Pope and the German Emperor.
Why would you want to go there?
Because
Tons.
they had so much cultural, like, fucking power. Like, they created the Renaissance 200 years later.
Is your life about that?
What?
Is it about
Cultural.
Yeah, is it about understanding cultures? Is
Yeah.
that like what you would want to do?
That's kind of what I do. The other thing I talk about is I really want to understand the culture of Iberia in the 1500s when they were like going and fucking conquistadando, and that's right actually, and they were like
That was
They
right. That's
had-
great. I like that.
they had
Good
the
memory.
cultural output, or like, so Iberia and Spain and Portugal failed, right? Like they did fail, but they had such, like, Latin America has some real cultural problems now.
Okay.
But they failed. But I can't understand their culture in the 1500s is just intoxicating. I don't understand it, and I need to know more about it.
So you go there to understand the culture of some random thing.
Yes.
What do you hope to learn from this?
Well, I hope to understand why Portugal and Spain behaved the way they did. They did
Okay.
something that like no one else does. They just grew huge overnight,
Okay.
and then they developed this very strange empire that was powered by gold, which isn't a real thing. It's not. It's not based. Gold is not based. It's just gold. It's just
Okay.
colorful metal. So then their empire
More real than
collapsed.
green money, but okay.
Then their empire collapsed, and they left behind a bunch of countries that have such odd social problems for Western countries that I don't understand it at all.
So they grew really fast, collapsed, and now they created problems for the West.
No, they created all these problematic countries that are just like they have their own like sickness, like
There's
these-
something off about that society, and you want to understand what
Is
it
this
was.
green
Yeah.
or black?
That is
Black.
green.
I thought it was green. Let me see it.
Dude, it's dependent on the light. So what do you hope to use
No,
with
this
this?
is considered black for them. Trust me.
What do you hope to
Well, first
fix
of all, it
with
can
this
just be an end
knowledge?
in itself, because it can just be that I'm really interested in it.
Okay, and is there anything that you think you could use with this information from the 1500s to help
I
out?
don't know, but I think Portugal and Spain were like on the verge of figuring out some like crazy cultural shit.
And then they collapsed.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because they have this like very intoxicating culture.
All right,
at this
G-Man.
point.
A gray alien levitates down through the ceiling, smoking a blunt. And he goes, "What's up, G? This Zah's whack. Where do you want to go?"
I love the creativity.
And he hands you a rainbow crystal blunt. And you puff this DMT rainbow crystal blunt from the alien. And it brings you anywhere you need to go.
Okay.
And he hits you with this.
That.
Egypt?
No. I would definitely just
Before
go
the
to see
flood.
what Jesus was doing, bro.
Yeah, for real.
That's what
Facts.
I'm doing.
Okay,
God
yeah,
damn,
G-Man is
you
correct.
Fucking
No, I'm just curious. I want to see
Yeah.
what he did from 12 to 32, bro. That's what I want to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see the evidence as well, but I want to see what he was studying.
Yeah, you're right. Dude, yeah, because
He was just studying for 20 years.
Isn't it proven that Jesus like traveled the world and talked to all the other leaders?
Yes, he traveled to everywhere. He studied the fucking Vedas. He studied Reiki healing. He studied all this shit.
And he like talked to Indians and shit.
Yeah, he
He's
studied
done multiple pilgrimages.
like for
multiple.
years.
Nobody
He was
talks
in
about that.
Egypt,
Everyone
too.
just says he was some dumb guy in the desert. He actually was around.
He was everywhere traveling.
was
He came back after
super
20 years. Just,
influential.
Yeah.
Super influential.
yeah, it's a crazy thing. Oh, he's just a carpenter. Okay,
um,
real great story.
He's a carpenter at 12, and then he like when
Yeah.
he got to be like the greatest cultural
Yeah,
superpower.
he's a savage.
Yeah.
That is a very good answer. And what do you hope to learn from this?
I want to know like the exact healing techniques because that's what I want to do.
Okay, how to heal people physically and spiritually.
And just it would heal the whole planet pretty instantly. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Once you whatever Jesus was doing. I mean, here's the thing that upsets me about the whole story. It's just like they don't explain that he literally studied everything on Earth.
Yeah.
Like, why is that left out?
Because
he wasn't
the churches are psyopted into ruining stuff.
Ben,
he wasn't mentioned historically in like Rome. He appears first
Well,
a
the
couple
Romans
of years.
hated
He appears
Yeah, he
first
wasn't
like
in-
about 2 decades later in an account by a historian, a Roman Jewish historian, who mentions that such and such emperor was such and such blah 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 deposed after some riot because of the execution of of John, who was the brother of Jesus, who is called
He doesn't
Christ.
have to work
That's the
long.
first time he's
Get
mentioned
up
in a
and
historical
fix his phone,
document.
I can come back and take a nap.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty early, honestly, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of history is fucking lost. That's the thing. I really care about trying to understand our exact history, so I feel like that's a better place to base reality off of. Because if you know the prior events exactly, then you
I
can
would
more
like-
accurately understand the future.
What about going back to the Dead Sea Scrolls? That'd be sick. When those were written.
Yeah, that would
How
be
about
wild.
before the flood?
Dude, it would just be fucking Egypt and fucking
Reptilians
Atlantis. Atlantis.
For sure, reptilians dominated terrestrial Earth at that point.
Dude, Atlantis would be around. The Garden of Eden. Like, dude,
The
you'd
Garden of
see so
Eden.
much shit, bro.
Be like History Channel. That's amazing.
I really like your thing about fucking deep sea creatures are that abominations left over from before the flood. They are actually abomination-looking demon things that God has sunk to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh,
Yeah, those things are not allowed
Good
up
night,
here.
Lana.
Those things are not allowed up here.
Yeah,
Buena nota.
all right.
we're
So
using your phone for a while.
everyone, just
Just leave it up there.
by the way, when you guys turn off your mics, make sure you like put them each in a particular place so I can keep track of whose mic is whose.
Okay.
Mine's going in the popcorn bucket.
Mine is going under my hat.
Okay.
Where's Landon's?
Right there.
All right.
I'll put his beer next to it. All right.
All right. So, fucking morality, right?
You have to go to
does
bed.
goodness come from? We can tackle this quickly.
Okay, sure. God is the definition of good in my book.
Yeah, I actually believe.
That's redundant though, because God is the definition
Hello.
of good.
I truly believe that goodness is like an innate thing in humans that only humans understand because humans have, well, you can call it divine spark, which is like the ability to not perceive and understand beyond the third dimension, but we can feel and like our unconscious mind exists beyond 3 dimensions, and in like that beyond there is good and evil that we sort of can touch on.
So you make the metaphysical claim that good, but that's not quite what I'm asking.
Okay, what exactly?
See, Landon gave me an answer. Landon said he believes, and you gave me an answer too. You said self-actualization.
Right, I mean, that's how you accomplish this, right?
But
Yeah,
yeah.
that is how you accomplish that.
Yes.
There's an ultimate good that you can only feel and like abstractly see a like unresolute vision of, and you aim for it, and you try and narrow your vision towards it.
And your life gets more fucked up the more mistakes you make.
Yeah.
So, like, every
the more
time
you sin, the more chaotic and distorted the vision becomes, and you have to
then the harder it is to make the right
you have
choice.
to meditate and realign your meters
Chakras.
and your chakras in order to better narrow in on that image, and that is goodness.
All right.
It's an
I feel like. So. This is what I think. This is.
And the actualization thing
In
that I
my
said,
answer,
can I
yeah.
just re-explain
Yeah,
that
go
better?
for it.
It's basically a two-step process, right? The first step is fix / create yourself, and then you actualize. That's the step that
yeah,
people
death
don't
and
do.
rebirth.
Yeah, except it's like a thing that men need to do. It's like they need to become a man completely. And
Individuation.
It's like, it doesn't start when you're like a certain age. It's just it happens like mid-20s ish. That's when you like fully like you're like ready to take over the world, right? And you're still a man before then, but it's different. At a certain point, you're fully like in the world, like you're in control of your own driver's seat, and you have your systems created. And once you create the systems that sustain you, then you can attack the world at full force.
Okay. So.
I agree with that.
All right.
But there will be like more and more evolutions and death and rebirths that will
Well,
come. There's not just one.
My
There's
question
daily
is,
death and rebirth.
My
Yeah.
question isn't really where
So he has to
goodness
work
comes
out.
from. I will say that because you answered where goodness came from.
Yeah.
Now my question is, what is goodness? Landon said goodness is the common, like it is the benefit of us and the benefit of others, right?
Okay.
I would say the goodness is
Well, that's not true because goodness can lead to your own detriment, as proven by Jesus in all the biblical stories, right?
goodness is doing whatever God's plan for you is, and the actualization process is
Yeah,
finding
because
God's plan.
Just
That's my
benefit
definition.
can be evil, right?
Now here's the trouble.
Right, Ben?
What? Just
Talking
benefit
about
can be evil.
Landon's.
It
Can't
can.
touch it. Talking about Landon's thing. Landon's saying that goodness is just benefiting you and others. All the biblical stories about following goodness can lead to your own detriment because
Yeah.
just benefiting others and yourself can be like evil.
Possible.
Yeah.
No. I also think that's insufficient.
Yeah.
Gaetano, there's a problem with yours. Can you tell me what it is? It's basically like using God. Using God in the definition of goodness is redundant because God, by definition, is goodness.
I get that.
But
right?
God works through paradoxes.
Well, that's not useful for logic.
Yeah.
It unfortunately at least states that it's the problem, so it's
Yeah.
useful to say. But I get what you're saying. Now that goodness depends on the person, right? Every person is innately different, so their final version of good is going to be different. I.e., they've had different problems, they've created different things for themselves, right? We're fighting a holy battle, and everyone's battle's different. Everyone's fighting different evil things. Everyone's attempting to do the right thing in different circumstances, right? We're all running different programs of seeing how good interacts with evil, right? We're all doing this in the background of living our lives, right? So my thing is this, right? Your goal is to fight the things that are attacking you, become victorious in that battle, and then that allows you to actualize into your full version of yourself, which is whatever, like, things that make us different people, right? Understanding what makes you different, what you care about, how you're different than others, and utilizing that to most care for yourself, number one, and care for yourself so much that you're actually radiating love to all the people around you. And once you just start radiating that, then you can kind of...
Those Landons.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of, in a way, start to figure out everything, because it all starts to make sense. You're feeling
Yeah,
love.
you have to line yourself with the ultimate idol.
And then at that
Okay,
point...
but Ben is asking what is actually goodness.
Here, I just have... Here's what I say.
Yep.
This is something I've been thinking about recently. I think goodness, like what it is to be virtuous, fundamentally, it's a narrative. Goodness, to be good, is to fulfill the narrative of your life.
Yes, that's the same actualization. We're
Yes.
very similar in topic here. Yes.
Yeah. So to be good, that's what it is. It's not. It's like to be virtuous is to.
You want the cowboy hat?
Maybe in a minute, but we're gonna go smoke something after Ben goes to bed.
All right.
To be virtuous is to make your life into a story that like you would want to read, sort of, but like more importantly, a story that is
Like Joe Rogan
resonant.
says, you have to be the main character of the movie.
Yeah, you have to make yourself fully fulfilled by your own life.
Yeah.
And then
And in that full fulfillment of what you feel's right, that is what's good, because God implants you in that. You have to fucking unblind yourself. You have to open yourself up to see God and let Him tell you, and it's like a whole thing.
yeah, so like if you run into a moral situation, right? And then like if it's just some you say like you just run into someone that needs help, but you're on the way to a to like this is my thing with Landon, because Landon was saying like morality is like a purpose. You strive for a goal that's for the benefit of society, right?
Yeah.
And I say, okay, if you're driving to a meeting that's going to serve a purpose in your overall goal, and you see someone who needs help, I would say, by Landon's like definition, you would go to your meeting because that's what you do. That's how you get your goal to help society.
That is a very Landon philosophy.
And I say like you stop, because the narrative of helping someone is more right than the narrative of driving on.
Right, and it's
Agreed.
everything's situational, right? But I think that's like, you do have to choose the most virtuous option, and you have to think about yourself first, and unless God almost makes you do a thing, right? I mean, honestly, like, I live in a world where God kind of controls my life to an extent. It's really hard for me to relate to an extent to what you're saying, because
All feel
obviously,
like non-magical people.
well, that's not what I'm saying. I just mean, like, I feel like things are out of my control sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you make choices that you're like, this doesn't benefit me at all, but I'm just doing
Yeah.
this, and you're not even hesitant.
No, yeah.
And, like, it's like, I think that's...
That is the way
Like-
in Confucianism.
Like twice recently,
That is the way in Confucianism. All the religions
Yeah,
actually
the way, right?
they tessellate with each other.
Yeah, the way. So like, and it's not Confucianism; it's Taoism.
Sure.
But the
Which is
twice
very.
this week.
It's just like the Holy Spirit. Very interesting that
Oh,
they
yeah, it's
both
virtually
figured it
the same.
out.
Twice this week, I've done a thing where like I've just gone, or at least maybe 3 times, I've just gone on a wrong turn, just
Yeah.
because it felt like the right turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get the feeling you're talking about. To me, I think that's fundamentally it's entwined with narrative. It's like the narrative of life speaks to you.
Yeah, and that's God's voice at the same time.
Yeah.
Start defining it like that in your own head. Your life will be better.
No,
God wants you to know.
I
just
have the real life definition to accompany.
I know. I just was hitting you with that. Do you feel like it's just God though?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. I don't know. I know that we have to define it in a philosophical terms instead of religious terms. I know.
Not just for. Yeah, just because that's part of being a philosopher, right?
Oh, for sure. It's trying to define religion as actual shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of what philosophy is to an extent. But anyways, you really need to go to bed, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm done now.
All right, cool. Hey, Ben. In general, I know that's the line. We should give Landon his phone because we should just smoke and go to bed. I know, but we should...
We're going to talk for 2 minutes, then we're doing it.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to just talk about some, like, planning shit before I leave. Real quick.
I would like to say that everything is not good nor evil. Everything is energy. And it sort of looks like energy crashing into, like, a middle point. It's like red and blue, good and evil, whatever. And depending on your perspective, you can turn it into all energy. As Newton said, equal and opposite reaction can be used for good or evil. If something happens to you, you can let it be a detriment on your life, or you can turn it into fuel to better your life. Everything is neutral energy that can be good or evil. Free will is how you decide what it turns into. That's human's gift, is free will. That's what God is testing with us, is do we create more good than evil? So, like, for example, someone breaks up with you and it hurts. You could perceive that as evil, or you could understand the good that comes out of it, like it's fuel to better yourself, or maybe you got out of a bad relationship, whatever.